Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. This is a panel on digital rights and kind of some implications that we have in the realm of law. And I am joined on stage by Mike Masnick, the founder of Techdirt, Electronic Frontier Foundation attorney Julie Samuels, and American law professor and Creative Commons co-founder Michael Carroll. So thank you for joining us. Kind of what I wanted to talk about today is there's a lot of cloud locker services popping up. People are using them more and more, whether it's Dropbox, Google Drive. But one in particular has been involved in some litigation for a couple of years now that you've been working on, Julie, the Megaupload case. And that's kind of raised some very important questions, I think, about our rights and data that we store in the cloud. So can you tell us a little bit about that case?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So we've been representing someone named Kyle Goodwin. Kyle owns a small business in Ohio where they broadcast local sports, a lot of high school sports, and he had been using Megaupload. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with Megaupload, but at any given time, Megaupload was somewhere in the top 5 or top 10 most visited sites on the internet. Millions and millions of users across the world. So Kyle was one of these users. He had paid for the larger size account, so he had more storage, and he had a lot of raw footage from these sporting events. He stored it on Megaupload. It was really important because he had producers all over the state, and it was hard for them to share files. And this is one of the things that is so great about cloud computing, of course, that you can share these kind of files, and it makes our lives better. As luck would have it, Kyle had an external hard drive with his video on it, and it broke. He knocked it off his coffee table, and a couple days later, he's like, well, no big deal. I've got a backup, in the cloud. I've got a backup on Mega. So a couple days later, he goes, jumps online, and the screen is, it's black, I think, or he was redirected. There's no Megaupload anymore. He probably just assumes, okay, no big deal, just down for a little bit, it'll be back. He called his producer, and one of his producers he works with, and my understanding is his producer's like, dude, have you read the news? Because, Megaupload was gone. The United States government had seized and used some other legal procedures to get at all the stuff in America, but the New Zealand government had been involved, and if you haven't watched some of the footage of what happened in New Zealand, you should. It was crazy. They raided Kim.com's house. There are like snipers and helicopters, and it was just totally insane, frankly, and Megaupload's gone. So we're representing Kyle. There's a whole bunch of litigation around the Megaupload site between the United States government and Megaupload surrounding criminal copyright infringement. That's what the United States government claims Megaupload did wrong. But in the meantime, we've asked the government to give Kyle his stuff back because he's got no access to his stuff. And there are a lot of users like him. So that's the problem. And I'm going to let some others kind of talk too, but I think we've been waiting now it's been almost 2 years, and the court's not really done anything for a whole bunch of different reasons, which we can get into. But I think the reason this is important and why you all should care about this is because we all use the cloud. And maybe Megaupload, this has nothing to do with Megaupload exactly, because we all use Apple, we all use Amazon, we all use Google, and we put our data in the cloud every single day. And that's what Kyle did, and now his data is gone.
Well, basically it's in the hands of the US government, right? Like they've kind of eliminated, I guess that's not fair. It's not in the hands,
so this is what actually happened. What actually happened was there are about 4,000 servers in Virginia. And those servers house much of the U.S. data, is what we understand to be the case. Right. The government did, what's called, they executed these searches on the servers. They copied 3 out of 4,000, and then they said, okay, you can delete these servers now. And we were like, whoa, no, you can't. Those servers house all of these people's data. And Carpathia, who owns the servers, to its credit, has also been fighting. But in the meantime, Carpathia's got 4,000 servers sitting on ice. It's paying for the lease. It's paying to kind of keep these servers intact, which is not cheap, as I'm sure many of you know. And Carpathia's getting screwed, too. So technically, the U.S. government isn't in possession of the data, right, though Megaupload and Carpathia have been working hard together to try and get consumers their data back, and the government has stood in the way of each of those efforts. So the way I look at this is you really need Megaupload involved, you need Carpathia involved, you need the users involved, but the US government kind of holds the key and hasn't turned the key over.
So I guess generally that kind of brings up the question, like you put stuff in a web storage facility, you expect to be able to get it out. So like how is this possible that they could do this? Like, don't we own the data? That's kind of, I think, what people assume. So maybe, Professor Carroll, you could talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question because the way we think about it is not the way the law treats it, because the law doesn't know how to deal with the cloud yet. What's the right analogy is always the problem in these situations. So is this just a safe deposit box where you've put your physical property in and you can get your physical property out? Or is it more like a bank account where when you give the bank the money, it becomes their property. Your account is just a claim on the bank to get money back, but they actually own your money. And this matters when the government steps in and seizes the property, because whoever owns the property, it's going to depend. So we don't have a property right in information itself. We have property rights in physical things. But the cloud you're not claiming that you own the bits on somebody's server. It's not really a storage locker in the same way. What you're claiming is that the information encoded in those bits belongs to you. But the law doesn't have a clear concept of ownership and information per se. And that's what causes these issues.
Yeah. And with that, we've got this kind of issue as it's unsettled, but where